Hello to my CCIM 400 class. So I'm recording this Monday night on January 27th. So apologies from earlier today. My Monday morning didn't start the way I had expected. Long story short, busted tire pressure monitoring system valve, and it caused a slow leak overnight. And then yeah, when I walked out to the car this morning, all ready to go to campus, well, plans got detoured as a result of that. And so I haven't entered it into Canvas yet. I usually do that on the weekends, but for today, since we only have a certain number of class sessions, with it only being a 5-week class, I just, gave everybody the credit for today's class session. Most of you probably would have gone to LB 127 at or around noon anyhow. So apologies for the late notice. I can't be in two places at once, so that had to be a priority, seeing as I only have the one vehicle to get me to and from. But okay, because I couldn't be in class today, what we had intended to do would be go over the process for this mock interview business. So I'm going to do a screencast. That's what the rest of this will be about, just to make sure that you're ready to go on Wednesday, especially, if you're up first in either group one or group two. So today's the 27th. We're in week 4 for the next 4 class sessions. So Wednesday, Friday this week, January 29, January 31, and then into next week, Monday, February 3, and Wednesday, February 5. The rest of this screencast will outline how this is going to go down. So we've got the class divided into two groups. There's basically 12 and 12. I think, there may be 13 in group two, but basically, it's divided in half. And if you're in group one, so last names listed there in Canvas, under week 4, if you're in group one, then you're going to be interviewed by one of our guests. And so that's determined based off of the date and based off of what you told me a long time ago would have been your occupational interest or trajectory. I have some folks, they have certain expertise, certain background experiences that I thought would align well with yours. And so that's why you're in group one. Group two, then, all of you listed here in group two, you're going to be with me. I'm going to be your interviewer, depending on which day you're assigned. And so what'll happen, both groups, so the entire class on Wednesday, starting the 29th, but also continuing forward with those other 3 class sessions into next week, we will meet as usual at LB 127 at noon. So please try to be on time as much as possible. All right, because there's not a lot of time for us to shift things and, get situated and ready to go. We're looking at 3 people in each group to have a live in-person interview, with, we'll just say an expert, whether that's me or one of the guests. And, of course, 10 minutes per person with about 5 minutes of some critique, praise, feedback, etc. And so that's how we get the math here. Basically 45 minutes, give or take, and it's only a 50-minute class session each time. So both groups come to 127, LB 127 as planned. Then the for group one, the interviewer is going to meet us at our classroom, and they'll take you to our additional space that's been reserved for the next couple of class sessions for this purpose. It's basically over where Indiana Public Radio is located, and it's not far. It's not far from our classroom, but we just kind of wanted everybody all in one place. The interviewer will come over, meet group one, will bring you over. You can bring your belongings and stuff like that. That's fine. I won't be expecting you to return to the classroom after you're finished. Um, but I thought we'd just have everybody there just to make sure that nobody gets lost, especially this first day. There'll be an attendance sheet that'll go with group one over into that other space, obviously, so that we can get points assigned for each of these class sessions. So, yes, make no mistake about it, leave no doubt. Everybody's expected to be in class, even if it's not your interview day. Because the idea is that if you're not in the hot seat, then you should be providing feedback to your peers. And even if you're not audibly providing that feedback, although I hope you will, then, be paying attention to the ebb and flow of each interview, what questions are asked, what answers are given. So along those lines, I am going to ask, and I've told the other interviewers this as well. I really don't want any technology. You don't need it. You don't need it. So no laptops or phones or earbuds. None of that should be necessary. And you'll survive for 50 minutes, without that technology. If there's something extenuating that I need to know about, well, then let me know that privately later on. Otherwise, let's just presume no technology so that we can minimize the distractions. And then getting into the actual interviews then. So starting right away here on Wednesday. So in group one, after we split, so all those in group one will go over into that studio space in IPR. Okay, so the three of you are going to go, Hayden, uh, Diana and Kyle, you're going to be going right there, group one. Now, I don't know if you'll necessarily go in that order. I mean, you can. That's how I've listed you. I will say that I've also passed along your resumes and your scripted questions. And you'll be interviewed. I guess I can show that. Stephanie Weekman, who actually is a journalist, podcaster for IPR, and has been doing it. I mean, you can kind of see there in her bio since 2007. So, again, the idea, I was trying my best to align you. So it may not be an exact match, but in any case, the three of you in a to be determined order will have your interview with Stephanie on Wednesday, the 29th. So that means for the rest of you in group one who aren't listed there, okay, you don't have an interview on Wednesday, but you're still going to be expected to, be there, be present, pay attention, offer feedback, and then the same thing will be true when it is your turn to have your interview. And then these three, are going to be, kind of in the surrounding setting, watching and observing, and hopefully providing some suggestions. Then group two, okay, so group two, like I said, you stay put right there in LB 127, and you're going to be with me. And so then you three listed here, you're going to be the ones I interview on Wednesday. It's the same process, just in a different room, different space. The others not listed here, then you'll be expected to, be engaged, pay attention, provide feedback, and so forth. So that's how that'll work, and again, there may be, I mean, there'll be some flex there. 10 minutes is the goal, 10 minutes back and forth, real time with another person, whether it's me or whether it's with one of our guests, and then about 5 minutes of some feedback. And then we go to the second person. Same thing, about 10 minutes plus 5 minutes. Then we go to the third person, 10 minutes plus 5 minutes. And that's just to ensure that the last person doesn't get shorthanded on time. Then we do the same thing, so if we can get through Wednesday, we'll be pretty good because then the process is going to repeat. And at that point, everybody should be pretty familiar with what we're doing. So Friday the 31st, so the three of you in group one, again, your interviewer will be Stephanie Weekman. So that's Friday, January 31st. Group two, you three are the ones that are going to be getting interviewed by me in LB 127. Then we go into February. Group one. Okay, so now group one on Monday, February 3rd, Corey Olenkamp, who's our director of Unified Media, he's going to be the one who interviews you if you are in group one on Monday, February 3rd. And then I have the three of you in group two, still in LB 127. And then on Wednesday, February 5th, the three of you in group one will be interviewed by Mackenzie Wenger, who, with me, handles the sports concentration between, well, it's basically a college-wide sport concentration between media, School of Journalism, and Department of Communication. So she's agreed to participate. So the three of you will be interviewed by her in group one on, Wednesday, February 5th. And then in group two, I've got four there. We'll see how this goes. Again, the number didn't quite divide through evenly. So if I have to, I might shorten the interviews just a little bit there to accommodate that fourth person. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But group two, like normal, you would be with me in LB 127. And then next week, Friday, February 7th, I have a coaching conference in Indianapolis. So, and this has been posted in Canvas for some time, but we won't have class on Friday, February 7th. And while I have your attention, then the last day of the class is the following Monday, February 10th. And as I've said all along, I wanted that last hanging Friday, so to speak, to be an optional day if you wanted notes on a portfolio. Recalling our first day assessment, basically what I had deduced from surveying you and asking you about portfolios, a lot of you have a portfolio, but you haven't gotten feedback on it, as I recall. Some of you don't have a portfolio at all. Maybe some of you don't necessarily need to have a portfolio given your occupational trajectory, but maybe you have questions about your resume or maybe a cover letter or a statement of purpose, if we're talking graduate school applications. So it's a very smorgasbord, I basically will just float around that day. Again, that's Monday, February 10th, to help out as needed. Um, and then that's it for CCIM 400. So anyway, that should help you understand what we're planning to do with these interviews, or at least the process. As for the interviews themselves, okay, so at this point, if you gave me a resume and if you gave me your five prescripted questions plus your answers, and you should have, because those were assignments due on Sunday night, those were already downloaded from Canvas, and I've already actually distributed those to Stephanie, to Mackenzie, and to Corey as applicable, and so they've got your information, is the point. And so it's really up to them at this point if they're gonna if they're going to ask you something about what you might have put in your resume, perhaps, I don't know. Are they going to use one or two of your prescripted questions? I hope so. I've advised them to do so, but they may opt to not do that, and they may ask some additional questions as well. So those five questions were just designed to get you started, get you thinking about this, practice some of your answers to questions that you might expect to come up in an interview setting. But it's not a guarantee that those five are going to appear. And you need to be prepared for the possibility, that you're going to get questions, that are coming at you real time. And, maybe you haven't given much thought to them. That's kind of the point of this whole exercise. And then, of course, like I said, there's about 5 minute window there for some feedback, some opportunity to revisit certain answers, give you some, thoughts of what you might have done or direction you might have gone otherwise. So, as for, I don't know that you can really prepare all that much. I mean, you can certainly look up some things. There's plenty of websites that'll tell you, do this, don't do that. But, in the end, like I said, the interview itself is not graded per se. I mean, your attendance is taken, each of those four class sessions. So I guess that's where the grade comes in. But there is a reflection in here from the entire experience. It's not due until right at the very end of the shortened 5 weeks. And, that's just to ensure that everybody's been through the process. But you're welcome, especially if you're doing your mock interview this Wednesday, you're welcome to knock that out sooner rather than later. So I think that should cover it. If you have questions, you're welcome to reach out. Otherwise, then I'm going to presume that you've seen this and we're going to be ready to go first thing Wednesday.